I'm here to talk about the Latah Environment, Agriculture, and Fisheries Heritage Project, which is really a collaborative effort to try to do a public acquisition of the property that we're on right here. We're trying to figure out how this can be used for public use because if it isn't, it's soon going to be a housing development. As the title suggests, the public uses are for a variety of things. So this would be a great place to demonstrate sustainable urban community agriculture. It'd be a great place to repair some of the creek which flows into the Spokane River just downstream. And this property is really key to accessing 500 acres of already publicly owned land with 30 miles of trails. We're at the very bottom of the bluff right here. It stretches for miles. Almost all of the access is from up on top. There is no access at the lower end. So people walk off of High Drive, and there's a nice trails there, but to go down the bluff is really steep. This would provide access to people that really aren't able to be vigorous hikers and get down the bluff, and to people that are coming in from the west side. Those people have no access to the trails here. So what does it take to make this happen? We've got a good relationship with the property owners. There is an application in right now for funding from the Conservation Futures Program. So the landowners actually submitted that application in 2016. It's right near the very top of the priority list, but the city of Spokane is going to have to play a major role in order for this to be acquired.
There's a high concern about what takes place in the place where we live. And this particular property has been one that has been talked about to be developed for a number of years now. And since its very beginning has been a very big concern of the neighborhood in the sense of the impact of having upwards of 100 homes here, what that means for traffic purposes, for the quality of life, as well as the fact that this area of the city, which is an amazing thing to think about, is such a vital, vibrant wildlife corridor.
So why is this particular piece of property important to me or anybody in Spokane for that matter? Just looking around, we have 48 acres on this parcel that we're talking about, and over 20 of them are listed as prime ag lands or prime farmlands. That's a class 1 farm soil by the USDA NRCS. Why is that important? Because those have what's called natural sub-irrigation. Sub-irrigation allows for that water from our storm water, from our rain events and our snow events to come in, and the soil structure holds that water and then makes it available to plant life when we grow food on this property. And we know that through history, this particular piece of ground has had an agricultural use for well over 100 years. It's been documented. These farm soils are irreplaceable. We don't have them anymore. So while this maybe not be as sexy as a new Coliseum or a new building downtown, we have to start asking ourselves the question of, where do we want our food to come from, and how much more farmland are we willing to lose?
The interesting thing about riparian zones is that in North America, 84% of all wildlife species use a riparian zone at some point during their life cycle. So everything from insects all the way up to bears and everything in between really needs a riparian zone at some point during their life cycle. It might be for cover and access to water, it might be other kinds of shelter, but riparian zones only comprise 2% of all the total landscape in North America. So they're so critical for wildlife and for water quality benefits.
What we have behind us is a riparian corridor that is actually very functional and in fairly good shape. We need to make sure that it stays that way. There are several reasons for this. One is it simply provides great health for our creek down low. Another very important reason we want to see this lower riparian area so healthy is that it provides a prime opportunity to educate the public about how important riparian vegetation and streamside vegetation is for the health of our rivers.
If you walk on the bluff, and especially the whole breadth of it, and look down, it's very clear that the last arable land, the last place that was farmed, is this farm right here. So you're always fascinated by it, you're always looking at it, you're always wondering about its relationship with the creek and the wetlands and the Ice Age floods, it's just impossible not to be attracted to it as really a center of the bluff. By chance, I'm a writer and a teacher, and I've always thought about it as a place I wish I could take kids, because there's no flat ground where it's easy to take a group of people that you want to talk to. You're always on a steep trail with single file. People are falling down and stuff, and it would make things a lot easier for education.
I've seen a lot of changes growing up on the bluff over the course of the 60 years that I've lived here. You know, I used to live on a house right on the bluff, and I could look down and watch the Japanese truck farmers work the fields. You know, the land was different then than it is now. The truck farms are gone. The land has changed. And I guess, you know, that's such a experience of living in a place for a long time and being able to have that relationship with the land. Heritage, you know, that word, you know, relates to inheritance. I guess what that means to me is that this is a place to remember, to restore, to maintain as an inheritance. So it's a responsibility, and I really feel that responsibility.
The way right now that Spokane is changing, we are experiencing a huge influx of folks wanting to move to our area. And we all know why. We all love it here. Many of us have come from outside and chose this for the same values that other folks are choosing it for. But the problem is the open space in the city of Spokane and around it is getting gobbled up, quite frankly, extremely quickly. And pieces like this, unfortunately, do not get made anymore. This is a unique piece of property at a unique place in time. 100 years from now, I assure you, nobody is going to look back as they enjoy this incredible piece of ground and say, man, I can't believe we did that, or I wish we would have done something different. They're going to say, thank goodness I get to take my kids to experience a dynamic creek system. Thank goodness I get to take my kids to learn how to grow their own food. Thank goodness I get to take my kids to hike on a trail and see deer. Thank goodness people in 2020 had the vision to make this dream a reality.